My name is Jack Dolph, and welcome to Chapter 7, Multi-Channel Television Services. In this information age, it's hard to imagine, for new generations to imagine, that at one point in the not-too-distant past, choices of what to watch on television were extremely narrow. I grew up in the Dallas, Texas area, and all we had to watch were ABC, CBS, and NBC, and one of the first independent television stations in the country, founded by broadcast innovator Gordon McLendon. It was not uncommon in many smaller communities to have combined network channels, such as an ABC, NBC hybrid of sorts. But today, with the onset of cable and satellite TV, you can find hundreds of channels available, many of them niche offerings such as the Food Network, the Home and Garden Channel, and the History Channel. How we got from there to here is the subject of this chapter study. But before we dive into it, let's enjoy passing through the Tracy Arms Fjords in southern Alaska.
Multi-channel television services have been with us since the beginning of television. Cable television systems were developed initially to facilitate watching TV or selling TVs in areas that geographically a broadcast antenna signal could not reach. And they would put an antenna, say, on top of a hill, run a cable down to the building, and out of that building send out the cable to the homes in the area where they could watch local broadcast networks such as ABC, CBS, and NBC that they normally couldn't see because of the earth having a little nasty little habit of being round. One of the things that the antennas did that these new cable companies found out is that not only did they pick up the local broadcast networks, but they would pick up broadcast networks from hundreds of miles away, and it gave people choice to watch what they wanted to watch. Now this threatened the local broadcasters, and they went to the FCC, and the FCC regulated the industry so that the new cable companies would only be able to show the local channels. One of the first premium channels was HBO, Home Box Office, and it started in 1972, and it was the first pay premium channel for cable to use. And then a few years later, Ted Turner started the Superstation, WTVS, which was basically a small independent station in the Atlanta area that he broadcast up to the satellite and then back down so that local cable companies around the country could rebroadcast to their systems. Because of the advent of channels such as this, the FCC started relaxing the deregulation in the 80s and allowed more and more programming. If you read Chapter 7, you get an excellent history of how all this grew over the years, the advent of digital programming, digital signal, the beginnings of companies like EchoStar and DirecTV, and how MPEG for digital compression allowed them to start sending out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of channels, and how satellite companies became competitive with the cable companies, and how what the cable companies did to fire back. Now in 2009, an interesting thing happened. Congress decreed that all broadcast signals had to become digital instead of analog. Those are just two different kinds of frequencies. And with the advent of the digital over-the-air broadcast signals, that increased the number of channels. In my area, where I live in Dallas, Texas, instead of having an ABC affiliate, an NBC affiliate, and a CBS affiliate, now the companies that own that, WFAA, which is our ABC affiliate, now has 3 channels that they broadcast out of. NBC has 2 channels, so on and so forth. And a lot of the independent channels have increased from 1 channel to 4 or 5 channels. This resurgent of broadcast TV has become very competitive with cable programming. At my home, I do not have cable channels, but I do have multi-channel access because my over-the-air antenna up in my attic gets over 100 channels just in my area alone. And not all of them are just little niche channels of foreign language or this or that. I get some very good programming to watch. The nice thing about the broadcast, the over-the-air broadcast signal, is that the digital image or the high-definition image is a lot sharper than it is over cable or over home satellite, because it's not compressed and it's not being amplified to send over miles and miles and miles. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, that's one of the interesting things that isn't covered by the Chapter 7, and that is, how does the multi-channel television services work? Let's take a road trip over to my local cable company and just kind of talk about that for a few seconds.
I am at my local cable company, and this is their antenna farm. This is where it all begins for multi-channel satellite services. What these large dishes do, these TVROs, are commonly known as BUDs, big ugly dishes. They collect the signals from a multitude of satellites up in space, each one showing different channels such as HBO, Showtime, TBS, TNT, and also this large antenna here that you can see behind the trees collects the signals for the local broadcast channels of ABC, CBS, NBC in my area. And they take the information that they're collecting on these large dishes here, they move it into the building to the left where there's what's called a head-in, a room that has technology and has maybe 200 or 300 receiver boxes similar to the receiver box that you have on your TV for either your satellite or your cable. And they bundle all the channels together so that when it comes to your house, you have one box with many channels on it instead of hundreds of boxes in your house also. After the information is collected on the dishes in the antenna farm, the information is sent to a room very similar to the one in this picture, where there are hundreds of receiver boxes, each receiver box turned to a specific channel, such as the Food Network, the Home and Garden Network, the Historical Channel, ABC, NBC, CBS, and then all the information off of these receivers are bundled together, and then depending on the venue, if they're the cable company, they are sent out along their fiber optic cable lines to be distributed to your household. Or if it's EchoStar or DirecTV, the information is sent up to another satellite which beams it down to your 18-inch dish, which allows you, the viewer, to watch from a selection of 100 different channels, depending on what you want to see. If they didn't have what's called a head-in, which is what this room is, it would be very impractical for you to be able to watch very much. But because of the technology that's in place now, not only do you have access to all of these channels out of one receiver box in your house, but with the advances in technology, you're also able to operate DVRs, record one programming while you're watching something else, and access other options such as pay-per-view. In 1977, a professor at Stanford University, Taylor Howard, developed the first satellite dish for home use. This was so he could watch home box office offerings, or HBO, on his home TV. Now this dish, which was big and it was ugly,
hence the acronym BUD, Big Ugly Dish, used to this day. Basically worked like the dishes that you would find at your local cable company. It was very impractical, it was very clunky. If you wanted to watch a program off of one satellite, you could do that. If you wanted to watch another program off of another satellite, then you had to program your receiver box to move the satellite dish to point at the other satellite. So you could not do what you do today, where you can watch on your DVS systems, where you can watch one program and record another. It didn't work like that. So that's a quick tour on how multi-channel television services work. It's very interesting. It's a fascinating thing to go down to the cable company or go to EchoStar and take a look at their antenna farm, and to go into their offices and take a look at the head-end room, and to see all the technology that goes into bringing satellite programming down, combining it, sending it back up to a satellite system, or sending it out on the cable network, so that when you turn on your TV at home, if you have cable or satellite TV, you get the choice of hundreds and hundreds of channels: Food Network, Home and Garden Network, History Channel, ESPN, or whatever you would like to see on your TV. Now, the growth of multi-channel television services has just exploded in the past few years with the advent of better digital technology. Instead of just your cable TV or your TV, satellite TV in your room, you're able to watch many things over your computer, over your iPad or your tablet, and even your smartphone. You can have multi-channel television available on that. It's very interesting how all that works. So I guess my question today is not so much whether this is good or bad. It's with us. It's inanimate. It doesn't have any kind of moral setting to it. My question would be, what would be the best uses of multi-channel television service in the advancement of the kingdom of God? Think about how you can use some of this new technology in evangelistic purposes, teaching purposes, any other different way that you can think of. Thank you for your time. Chapter 8 will be coming up next, and you have a blessed day.